Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between LiquidTLO and MouzHasu here on Metalopolis. Hasu spawning as the yellow Protoss player at the 7 o'clock position, and meanwhile LiquidTLO spawning over here at the 1 o'clock position as the red Terran. This shoutcast and this commentary is sponsored by Raptor. Raptor is essentially a real Facebook for gamers. So I know a lot of you guys have been asking me if I have a Facebook. I in fact do not, but I am on Raptor. I've already got a couple friend requests from a lot of the subscribers out there, so go ahead and download Raptor. You can actually see whenever I'm online, see how much time I actually spend on video games. I don't know if I really want to divulge that information, but hey, you know, easier way to keep track of your friends. And even if I'm not on StarCraft, you can see if I'm playing Warcraft 3 and one of those other games as well, as long as you register them. Meanwhile, Hasu now going to go ahead and scout counterclockwise direction, and we'll quickly find the 3 o'clock position empty, and we're going to go ahead and move over here. We do have TLO spawning and grabbing an early supply depot and getting gas before barracks now. So this is a very, very interesting strategy. Maybe trying to go for some sort of mech strategy as... yeah, maybe trying to go for some sort of mech strategy. Also, very important for Hasu to open up and activate the Zelnaga Watchtower. One of these things is that a lot of Terran players sometimes want to lift off and try to grab some of these high-yield mineral locations on Metalopolis. That is a fairly dangerous proposition, but if you can get away with it, you can deal a lot of damage. And you can really just outmine your opponent. Back over here, we do in fact have the gateway now being warped in, as well as an assimilator. We should not. The early stalker isn't going to make that much of a difference just because this early barracks has really been delayed. And why does this refinery look all red and funky to me? Okay, that refinery is a little bit red and funky. Hopefully that's probably just some sort of shader issue with my version of StarCraft 2. Hopefully it will be fixed. Back over here, we now see a pylon and a cybernetics core coming into play, training up some more probes. Looking like he's saving some chrono boost though, and waiting for an extra. There we go, saving that chrono boost, not wanting to use it just quite yet. And now this probe just moving around. We do have an early marine now being trained, and we should probably see some sort of factory being laid down sometime shortly. That early factory, and then early factory into some sort of metal game from LiquidTLO. That's what I'm assuming. Yeah, so we are getting that factory. We could see Banshees, but I'm not 100% sure if TLO would actually go Banshees. Now getting a tech lab as well, so didn't want to reveal that tech lab to Hasu. And now we see a chrono boost on the cybernetics core and also on the gateway. Not quite sure why he would chrono boost the stalker, just because he knew that the tech lab was so late. No real reason to get that unit out a split second earlier. Perhaps mining more would have been a little bit better, as this gateway now, yeah, just going to be on cooldown, so 10 units a time. Stalker really not going to make that much of a difference, just moving her out, trying to do a little bit of scouting. Back over here, factory now nearing completion, and it was an early factory into a 1 gas. So are we going to see now going into a Reaper play? Okay, so TLO, it looks as though TLO is inventing a new strategy, and as I have never seen a barracks into a factory into another barracks off of gas before barracks, and now getting a starport. So this is a very interesting strategy. Not quite sure. I can't make any predictions on what TLO does, but then again, TLO seems to be able to make up strategies on any single whim, on the whim, and just be able to just win with it. However, this probe was able to scout this very, very early Reaper, and now we have a Hellion trying to move on in, but that stalker doing a good job of just delaying that Hellion, and now in comes this Reaper now jumping off into that high ground, gonna go ahead and try to take down some of these probes here. So it's gonna be a Reaper and Hellion harassment, so very nicely done. Will that Reaper and Hellion harass deal enough damage? That Reaper does not have any kills, but the Hellion has 8 kills already, so getting a ton of kills, stacking up a lot of those probes. And Hasu now in serious trouble, down to 14 probes. The damage has been done. Wow, so poor micro coming in, and that really was the issue. That Phoenix just coming out a little bit late. That graviton beam could have picked up that area, or picked up that Hellion, and the stalker should have been able to just take it down fairly easily. Bunker now being laid down by TLO to guard this natural front door. Also, another thing I wanted to note, someone told me that YouTube time limits are now up to 15 minutes, so I'll go ahead and run this replay a little bit longer, and hopefully you guys won't have to hear my kitchen timer nearly as often. Back over here, Phoenix continuing to move around this base, trying to see if he can pick up and just scout out any units. The Phoenix, with its really, really fast movement speed, is the perfect scouting unit. well, I'd say the Observer is a perfect scouting unit. But the Phoenix also doing a great job as well. And now that we have 2 Phoenixes in the base, we may, yes, Graviton Beam that Mule, so important in trying to get any additional minerals. And now that Mule is essentially like losing 300 mined minerals because it's no longer able to mine. Marine's now coming over to try to lend a helping hand, but will not be able to really do anything there as those Phoenixes moonwalking around that medevac. Medevac now down to 42, 30 hit points, 20, 15, 9. Oh, very nicely done. For some reason, those SCVs are trying to right-click onto the medevac, perhaps to try to repair, but they started to get loaded into the medevac. If that Phoenix was actually able to take down the medevac with that cargo, that would have been really, really bad news. But in comes a Viking. So now more harassment coming in from both sides. However, TLO's Viking going to quickly get taken down there. Oh, and 150 minerals, 75 gas to see the backside of MouzHasu's base. Back over here, we now have still a starport looking to build another tech lab. More Marines being trained up. As this Phoenix just scouting out the inside of the map, we'll be able to see that over here. And now are we going to get another Graviton Beam? No, not quite yet. The Phoenix does not want to do an engagement against a Viking. In a one-on-one fight, the Viking can actually the Phoenix can actually beat the Viking if it has full shields and full hit points. Just because of the discrepancy in their hit points, it's, I think, 180 versus 125 when you combine the two. Back over here, we now have a Hellion just moving around. Should be Graviton Beam. There we go. Graviton Beam. Stalkers now going to come in and just finish down this Hellion. So Hellion served up on a Graviton platter. Back over here, we have the supply depot now coming in. And both players still running off of one base play. So one base play, we have LiquidTLO sitting at 32 Harvesters compared to Hasu's 23. And Hasu really needs to take an additional expansion at some point. And without an extra expansion, he's going to have a little bit of an issue just because the mules are able to essentially mine faster, and as the mule can mine at the same time as an SCV is. And now that Phoenix continuing to just move around, going to take a couple longboat missiles, and down goes that Phoenix. So Phoenix lost needlessly there, but we have a proxy pylon, and the Stalkers do in fact have blink. So we are going to have a blink onto the high ground. And Phoenix quickly coming into play. Is this all going to work? Stalker's going to come on up. Are they going to blink and take down that siege tank? Going to go ahead and Graviton Beam it, but not blinking for some strange reason. Doesn't want to blink, doesn't want to engage those Marines. Now deciding to take down that missile turret instead. So just hugging along the side here, trying to deal as much damage. Doing a good job blinking those lower hit point units. And now the Stalker and pulling back, but he did reveal that he has blinked to TLO. So TLO now knows to perhaps put some missile turrets along the side here to make sure that no Stalkers are able to easily blink on in. TLO now having a Hellion over here will get scouted out. Hasu and will Graviton Beam it in just a moment as those Stalkers going to go ahead and move on over. More Stalkers being warped in, and now we have Hasu setting up an expansion over here at the 4.5 position, just because he doesn't want to expand to his natural. The natural is a natural place for a Terran player to use that scanner sweep to figure out where your opponent is economically speaking. Command center now being upgraded over here into an orbital command. So an orbital command now being upgraded should be landed down over here in just a moment. Army wise, both sides fairly even, but siege tanks didn't be able to get in a couple quick and easy blasts there as that Viking coming in to join in on that fight. Phoenix really the spotter in this whole entire engagement. We do have in fact one siege tank, but that siege tank is going to be out of range. Stalkers did not see that command center, and that is an absolute tragedy that he didn't see that command center was already getting set up and placed down. We do in fact have this nexus being placed down over here, so this nexus will be able to transfer some probes over momentarily. Army-wise, production-wise, you can see what's happening on the overlay as this Phoenix just running around on the inside. So this game's still anyone's game at this stage, as that Phoenix just wants to get proper scouting. Viking really just giving chase to that Phoenix. Viking, however, much slower than the Phoenix, 2.75 against... What is the movement speed on a Phoenix? 4.25. All right, so in a difference of 1.5. Fairly fast, and let's see, the ground speed 2.25. all right, I'll take my notes a little bit later. Back over here, a Viking quickly getting shot down there, and by the focus fire of those Stalkers really able to easily take down a Viking. Now over here we also have the fusion core, so we're gonna start training battle cruisers with the Yamato cannon. So the LiquidTLO creating battle cruisers, a unit that wasn't very often used during the beta, but we may see more and more battle cruiser play and later on, just because those battle cruisers are such a strong ground air unit against ground, and also has decent armor. So the phoenixes will not be able to deal essentially any real damage towards that battle cruiser. It's very, very minimal. The same thing with those stalkers. Although unless they have that weapons upgrade, are not going to be able to deal that much either. This battle cruiser with 3 armor going to go ahead and push on in. And now Marines and Marauders coming in. Marauders do not have that concussive shell, so those stalkers will be able to move fairly freely. Marines now coming in again, and now charging. A charging Zealot runs straight into his death, and a quick blink, and those stalkers are able to escape. Back over here, more barracks being laid down, so TLO going into a starport off of a 4 racks, and the 4 racks are there just for Marines. Very, very nice combination of units. The starport essentially takes up every single amount of gas that the battle cruiser for that one battle cruiser. So TLO, realizing that he's going to be a little bit gas locked, decides to start training up more and more Marines, and now also laying down some missile turrets. Okay, sorry about that. Close. Laying down some missile turrets as well in order to get some additional sight and making sure that those stalkers are not able to blink in that easily. Hellion now moving around, and Hellion may be able to scout out this position. Will it be able to scout it out? Will TLO see? Oh yes, he did see this pylon, and that was about it. And no, he did see the assimilator. So the assimilator does reveal that to TLO, followed by a scanner sweep. He wants to see the saturation on these probes, or on these minerals from these probes, and knows that he's fairly far behind now, or not as ahead. As you can see, the discrepancy: 45 harvesters compared to 56. Hasu still trying to recover from those early 8 probes that he lost, and now getting another nexus down over here. So continuing to try to macro up. Stalkers and Zealots, High Templars sitting over here. Those High Templars are going to be a great counter to these Marines. Also, feedback on those battle cruisers will be very critical as well. That's a free almost 100 damage, 150 damage, unless the battle cruiser is able to get that Yamato cannon off in time. So that will be absolutely critical. Will the feedback hit first, or will the Yamato cannon, will the battle cruiser be able to Yamato cannon and just clear out all of its energy? Stalkers continuing to move out. Production tab, we finally getting the level 1 weapons upgrade and the Infernal Pre-Igniter. Infernal Pre-Igniter there to counter those Zealots, High Templars, and Sentries. Back over here, Nexus, Marines, Command Center, another Command Center being laid down. So another Command Center in order to take this 10 o'clock expansion over here. Refineries already going down. So TLO slowly expanding across the map. Both players going to be running off of essentially 3 base play, or 2.5, as Hasu does not really fully saturate here, and neither has TLO. So TLO not saturating that location either. Orbital Command saving up a whole bunch of energy, and both players just playing a Sim City game essentially. Both players just trying to, oh, nice blink up to that high ground right as that probe died in order to take down that one Marine. And now we may have an engagement here. SCVs now moving away, gonna go ahead and drop off that minerals and come back here. Orbital Command should be upgraded in just a moment, but siege tanks are in position, may be able to get a couple of free blasts in, but just outside that range here. A nice Size Storm, and some SCVs getting taken down there, taking a lot of damage, losing that Orbital Command Center, Orbital Command Center, and now Battle Cruiser are going to go ahead and try to move on in as well. Size Storm is still a possibility. Will we see Size Storms? No. Really, Hasu just wants to deny the expansion or delay it, and then try to win a more macro game as TLO gets a stronger and stronger army in this position. Stalkers sitting off over here. We do have 1 medevac over here, and we have a Photon Cannon and a High Templar sitting here. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between Hasu and TLO here on Metalopolis.